Oh yeah, I feel like the Kool-Aid man over here, busting through your walls and yelling out, oh yeah! Because, as we've been talking about the entire day today, the most recent edition of the 32 Thoughts podcast with Elliotte Friedman and Jeff Merrick had a whole bunch of juicy conversations that I felt were appropriate to explore out there in videos. Let's look at this tweet published by NHL Watcher, which goes over Friedman's thoughts on Tyler Toffoli. I wonder if he's back on Vancouver's radar. I can see Toffoli being a guy who's on the Rangers' radar too, with the money that they got with Barclay Goodrow off. Now, simple tweet, yes, I get that. But there are a whole bunch of things to talk about when it comes to this player, because of course, when you're talking about Tyler Toffoli, man, I will never shut up about Tyler Toffoli, especially as a Vancouver Canucks fan, who, I'm gonna, say something a little bit deep here, in a way is kind of traumatized with the way Tyler Toffoli left the Vancouver Canucks in the first place, and somewhat feels unsettled, unfinished with the way that experiment ended. Honestly, I feel like if Tyler Toffoli had just gotten re-signed by Jim Benning in the 2020 offseason, he came back to Vancouver, he had stayed for 4 years, I feel like we wouldn't make as many videos about him as we had over the years since then. Because every summer, it seems to be a new thing. Hey, Tyler Toffoli's on the trade block, the Montreal Canadiens are trading him away, the Calgary Flames are trading him away, the New Jersey Devils are trading him away. And every time it's like, hey, could the Canucks get him back? Hey, the Canucks want to get him back. Hey, the Canucks want forwards that can score goals. Tyler Toffoli is exactly that. And now he is a free agent, or at least he's going to be. We know that for sure. Winnipeg Jets are not going to re-sign him. And Elliotte Friedman is wondering if Vancouver is indeed on that radar. Now, I know what you're thinking, Canucks fans out there. You might be saying to yourself, wait a minute, if the Canucks are already going after Jake Guentzel, if they're already going after Marty Necas, if they have these guys already, is there even the capacity to go out there and acquire a guy like Tyler Toffoli? And honestly, in my opinion, if you have as much money as you can spend, you go out there and get every single good player that is available, up until the dollars allow it. But if the Jake Guentzel thing falls through, if what Dalibor was saying on Donnie and Dolly yesterday comes to fruition, where there are going to be other teams that are in on Guentzel, and of course the Hurricanes themselves are trying to bring him back too, with all the uncertainty with him, if the Vancouver Canucks are not able to get it done, then you've got some money left over. Why not toss it at a guy like Toffoli? I get it, you could say he's 32 years old. 4-year contract takes him until he's 36, and he was never really the fastest guy to begin with. Why would you want to commit that kind of money to him? But as we've talked about in prior videos, Tyler Toffoli, in my eyes especially, doesn't really seem like the kind of player whose overall effectiveness will slow down as he gets older, because he never really was the fastest to begin with. He's kind of had to adjust being a slower player his entire hockey playing career, and he's found ways to overcome that obstacle with his hockey sense, his brains, and his offensive IQ. Those are things that don't necessarily age poorly into the future. We had seen the Sedins. They were aging very well into their mid to late 30s as prime offensive contributors. Now, of course, Tyler Toffoli is not the Sedins, but still, you get what I mean here. Just because Tyler Toffoli's 32 doesn't mean his contract, 4 years, 3 years, whatever, will be super terrible. You could have said the same thing about him when he had signed his contract previously, when the Montreal Canadiens signed him to the dotted line for 4 years back in 2020's offseason, the infamous Jim Benning we ran out of time offseason. So for now, Tyler Toffoli, who is coming off of an astounding season, 11 points, 18 games played in Winnipeg, and 44 points in 61 games with the Devils, not to mention the 73-point season he had last year with the Calgary Flames, this is one of those guys that just has it in him to be an offensive contributor. You saw how well he was loved here in Vancouver when he was playing with these guys. He'd make a lot of sense for this core. Ultimately, though, I'd say that when it comes to Toffoli and the Vancouver Canucks, if you're thinking of him as a potential Guentzel replacement, if you're not able to get Guentzel in the first place, then I think that's awesome. I'd love to see Vancouver target him. Heck, if you can get both, if you can add 2 top 6 caliber forwards to your team in a Necas and a Toffoli, or a Guentzel and a Toffoli, of course, money permitting, it's not going to happen like that, but if it does, that would be best case scenario. The Vancouver Canucks with more goal support would be awesome. Of course, they have other areas of their game to round out as well, but still, let a guy dream, right? I've been playing franchise mode my entire life. Let's see the forward lines get absolutely stacked here, right? Okay, maybe that's not realistic, but still. Toffoli being a Vancouver Canucks target, I like it. Let's go out there and talk about the Rangers as well, as Friedman did mention them as a potential team too. It's interesting with New York, because if they're able to free up a lot of money by getting rid of Jacob Trouba, somehow, some way, they trade him with salary retained, they buy him out, they get some other middling to bottom tier team to take his contract on at full salary, then okay, you've got a lot of savings right there. $8 million is a lot of money. You can do a lot of things with that. So getting a Tyler Toffoli at 4 years, $5 million a season or something, seems like something that could really help out this team and their forward core, because as we had been talking about with them after this postseason run, Chris Kreider, Mika Zibanejad, Artemi Panarin, these guys got shut down by Alex Barkov. It was not great, and you started to see many Rangers fans honestly kind of like turning on their top guys. I mean, I've never seen so much Mika Zibanejad hate on my timeline ever since that Florida Panthers-Rangers series ended. Hey, it's the same thing over and over again. This team will never win with Zibanejad as the number one center. They're not going to do this. They're not going to do that. No, I'm not saying that Tyler Toffoli is the big change that you need to fix everything. He's not a one-stop Flex Seal problem-solving machine, but he would help. He would be, I'd say, more of a consistent offensive presence in the top six than Jack Roslovic, for example, or a Capo Caco. You could have Toffoli and Lafreniere playing together. Have two guys who are slow and able to build off of the offensive productivity of each other. Of course, I'm kind of memeing here a little bit when I say that, but still, Tyler Toffoli and the Rangers seems like an interesting fit if the Rangers want to get goal scoring on the cheap. Toffoli is not going to command the same price tag that a Marty Necas or a Jake Gensel will, so because he's a little bit older, because he's a little bit slower, but he's still able to produce big numbers, this is the kind of guy that could help out. But of course, it has to be for the right price, and you have to also question whether or not the magnitude of his services would be enough to push the Rangers over the edge. I feel like for New York, their problems of consistency lie a lot beyond just the players on the team. I feel like there's a sort of attitude or a mindset issue that they might have run into, especially in that third-round series against the Panthers. But I digress. I mean, the Rangers are the team that made it to the third round all these years in a row. Or not in a row, but still in a certain span of time. There's got to be something going on. What's the answer to that? Do you just add on highly skilled forwards that can score points like Toffoli, or do you change everything else up? Do you get rid of a Zibanejad? Do you buy out a Trouba and use the money to go elsewhere? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you are a New York Rangers fan, how do you feel about the proper way to go about with your team's future? And what are your thoughts on the idea of signing a Tyler Toffoli? Do you like it? Do you not? Is he too old for you? Is he too slow for you? How about putting him with Lafreniere? That sounds like a really great option, right? Because they'd be complementing each other so well with their foot speed, both being slow. Either way, Rangers fans, let me know your thoughts as well. Vancouver Canucks fans, what are your opinions about Friedman saying this as well on the Canucks angle? I've been saying this the entire time, but I will say the comment section, it's kind of divided. Some of the fans saying, no, he's too old, he's too slow, we don't need him. Other fans saying, hey, the more the merrier. Let's get him back. Bring back the good vibes, baby. Bring back Toffoli and Tanev. Get the Calgary Canucks to reunite in Vancouver and bring this team back to the promised land. Who needs Elias Lindholm when you have Toffoli and Gensel at your disposal? So, Canucks fans, Rangers fans, 94 bros, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.